On behalf of Rohini College of Engineering and Technology, myself Justin Leo, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, welcome you all for this basic civil and mechanical engineering course video session. And the course code for this basic civil and mechanical engineering is B8252, and it's for the regulation 2017. So here in this video session, we'll be studying about the two-stroke cycle diesel engine of Unit 4 internal combustion engines and power plants. So here the objective of this course, basic civil and mechanical engineering, and from the fourth unit, the objectives will be to enable the student to distinguish the components and the working principle of the power plant units, IC engines, and refrigeration air conditioning system. And here these are all the following topics that is covered in internal combustion engine and power plants of Unit 4. So in this video session, we'll be studying about two-stroke diesel engines. So these are all the textbooks and reference books for this basic civil and mechanical engineering course. And the course outcomes. So the students, upon completion of this course, will be able to illustrate the various IC engines and the power plant systems and subsystems with the layout upon completion of Unit 4. So two-stroke diesel engine, in which we'll be studying about the construction. So two-stroke diesel engines require air supply, and here you can see this is the piston, and this piston is connected to this crankshaft by means of a connecting rod. The small end of the connecting rod is connected to the piston, and the big end is connected to the crankshaft. So here you have this, since it's a two-stroke engine, here you have inlet port, exhaust port, and the transfer port. The second figure you can see, this is the transfer port. And here this is the fuel injector. So since it is a diesel engine, instead of a spark plug, you will have a fuel injector, the cylinder head. And these are all the air-cooled fins in which this cylinder is being cooled. This engine cylinder is cooled by the means of air flow. And here the two-stroke cycle engines require air supply. And here the air is used to blow out the exhaust gases. That is from the cylinder. And fresh air will be filled in this cylinder. So here the required air is supplied through this inlet port by means of a blower or air compressor, which is driven by the engine itself. And here you have a transfer port, and the fresh air which enters into this into this crankcase through this inlet port. And when the piston moves down, that is when it is in the bottom dead center, so this fresh air will be passed into the cylinder through this transfer port. So here this three ports are being covered and uncovered by the displacement of this piston. So working of the two-stroke cycle diesel engine. So here you have two strokes, that is the upward stroke and the downward stroke. And the first stroke, that is the upward stroke of the piston, compression first, the compression and inductance happens. So here the piston moves from the bottom dead center to the top dead center. And here you can see both the inlet port is open, and here the exhaust port and the transfer port is covered by the piston itself. So fresh air through the inlet port enters into the crankcase. So the already air present here in this cylinder is compressed when the piston is moved upwards. Pressure and temperature of the air increases. So at the same time, fresh air also is admitted into the crankcase through the inlet port. So this is what is compression and inductance. And the first stroke itself, that is the upward stroke of the piston, you have this ignition and inductance. So when the piston almost reaches the top dead center, the fuel is injected into the compressed air, which is present inside the cylinder. Since this compressed air has a certain temperature, and this fuel, once mixed with this hot air, it starts burning. So admission of fresh air into the crankcase continues till the piston reaches the top dead center. So that is ignition and inductance. And the second stroke, that is the downward stroke of the piston, expansion and crankcase compression also happens. So here you can see the burning gases. The burning gases expands inside the cylinder. So as a result of it, pressure increases, and the burning gases would force the piston to move down, and thus producing useful work. So at the same time, what happens is the air in the crankcase is also compressed by the movement of the piston, and all the ports and you can see here, all the ports, that is the exhaust suction and transfer port is in a closed position. And here again the second stroke, that is the downward stroke of the piston, you have this exhaust and transfer. So at the end of the expansion, the exhaust port is uncovered. Exhaust port is uncovered. The burned gases escapes to the atmosphere through this exhaust port. So you can see from this second figure. And what happens is the transfer port is also uncovered. So the partially compressed air from this crankcase would enter into this cylinder through this transfer port. And what happens is the air, while moving from the transfer port towards this cylinder, is deflected by this deflected shape of the piston. So what happens is the fresh air which enters helps in forcing out this burnt gases to escape to the atmosphere through this exhaust port. So here you can see this inlet port is closed. So next is scavenging. So scavenging is nothing but the process of forcing out the burnt exhaust gases from the cylinder for admitting the fresh charge into the cylinder. So normally this happens in the two-stroke cylinder engine. That is here what happens is the scavenging is nothing but the process of transferring the burnt gases from the cylinder towards the atmosphere through the exhaust port. So that process is called scavenging. And during this scavenging process, the charge, that is the air fuel mixture or air, enters in the engine cylinder from the crankcase at a pressure which is higher than the exhaust gas. So this fresh charge, it would force the exhaust gases to the atmosphere through the exhaust port. So during the period, both the transfer and exhaust ports are kept open for a short period. And what happened is there is a possibility of the fresh charge escaping out with the burn gases. So this has to be overcome. So for that, the piston crown has been designed to have a deflected shape. So this deflected shape of the piston would deflect the fresh charge upward in the engine cylinder. And also it helps in forcing out the exhaust gases to the atmosphere. And this process is called the scavenging process. So with this, we come to an end with this video session on two-stroke diesel engine. So thank you and have a great day.